In this video, we'll demonstrate how to use the equipment maintenance history in Easy Maintenance. We'll cover the following topics: viewing the list of completed equipment work orders, work order approval and editing, printing the equipment maintenance history. After an equipment maintenance work order is closed in Easy Maintenance, it's automatically stored in the equipment maintenance history. To access the equipment maintenance history, click on Maintenance History View, Approve or Edit button at the Easy Maintenance main menu. Doing this will take you to the following window, which lists all of the closed equipment work orders in Easy Maintenance. For each closed work order in the list, there are the following data items going from left to right. Manufacturer serial number. This is the manufacturer serial number for the piece of equipment for which this work order was created. Equipment. This is the type of the equipment for which this work order was created. Work order number. This is the number that was assigned to the work order. Assigned to. This is the person to whom the work order was assigned. Maintenance date. This is the maintenance date, namely the day on which the maintenance was performed, which is actually the date on which the work order was closed. Internal control number. This is the internal control for the piece of equipment for which this work order was created. Profile. This is the maintenance profile which defines the maintenance requirements for the piece of equipment for which this work order was created. Location. This is the location of the piece of equipment for which this work order was created. Approved by. This is the person who signed off on the work order. Above the list of closed equipment work orders is a search box, which you can use to locate a piece of equipment if you know its manufacturer's serial number, its internal control number, or you can locate a work order. To search for a piece of equipment, first click on one of the circles called Manufacturer Serial Number or Internal Control Number, depending on the search criteria you wish to use. Then click in the box to the right and type the equipment manufacturer serial number or internal control number, depending on what selection you chose. Then click on the Locate button. If there is a piece of equipment currently entered in Easy Maintenance that matches your search term, the first work order for that piece of equipment will be selected in the list below. If you want to search for a work order, then click on the circle called Work Order Number. Then click in the box to the right and type the number of the work order which you want to search for. Then click on the Locate button. If there is a work order in the history matching the number you typed in the search box, it will be selected in the list below. You can select a work order at the Approval window and then click on the Edit button to view additional details about these work orders, how to change some details if necessary, and how to sign off or approve a work order. You will be taken to the Edit Approval window. At the top right corner of the window, you'll see a field called Work Order Number that displays the number that this work order has been assigned. Below that are several fields giving information about the piece of equipment for which this work order was created. There are also two fields called Notes and Exceptions. The Notes field is where you include any details about the work order that aren't appropriate for any of the other data fields on the work order. The Exceptions field is where you note any deviations from normal procedures, or the normal materials or parts used in the work order. If you included any notes or exceptions when you initially opened the work order, they will simply be carried over and be displayed here. However, you can modify the contents of the Notes and Exceptions fields by clicking in them and typing the edits you'd like to make. There are also three fields called Performed By, Approved By, and Assigned To, which show respectively who created the work order, who approved it, and to whom it was assigned for completion. If each of these data items was entered when the work order was opened, those entries will simply be reflected here. Clicking on the Approved By field pops up a small window into which the username and the password of the person approving the work order is entered. Click in both the username and password fields and type in the username and password respectively of the person approving the work order. Then click on the OK button. If you've changed your mind, and do not want to approve the work order, then click on the Exit button. You can also mark the work order as having been assigned to somebody using the Assign To drop-down box. Click on the arrow on the right side of the box, which will expand the list, and then click on the person to whom you want to assign the work order. Please note that if you've already selected somebody to assign this work order to, this field will not be editable. The Equipment Reference Notes field shows any notes or comments about the piece of equipment. There are also two fields called Scheduled Maintenance Date and Actual Maintenance Date, which show the date on which the maintenance for which this work order was created was scheduled to take place, and the date on which the work order was closed and the work was completed. The Customer field displays the ID of the customer for whom you're servicing this piece of equipment. The Usage Meter field displays the total amount of usage hours that had been logged at the time this work order was closed. There are also 4 fields which display the total man-hours worked during this maintenance, the total cost of the labor, the total cost of the materials used in the maintenance, and the amount of time for which the piece of equipment had to be taken offline for the maintenance to be completed. If you already entered the values for these fields while the work order was still open, the values that you entered then will be reflected here. However, you can also edit these values or enter them if nothing has been entered yet. Just click in the boxes and type the values you wish to record. The last of the data fields in this window show what type of maintenance was performed for this work order, the frequency of the maintenance, and when the next scheduled maintenance after the work order was scheduled to be completed. At the bottom of the window is a print function that allows you to print the closed work order. To the left of the box, you'll see 4 circles called Full Report, Materials, Operations, and Parts. By clicking on one of these circles, you can select whether you want to print the entire work order containing all of the materials, operations, and parts listed in the work order, or whether you want to print a work order that contains only the materials, operations, or parts that are in the work order. Click on the circle that represents your choice, and then click on the Print button to print the work order. Lastly, there is the View Details button, which you can use to view all of the materials, operations, and parts used in a work order. Clicking on the View Details button on the Approval window takes you to the Maintenance Details window, where you can view the materials, operations, and parts used in the work order. At the top of the window are 4 data fields: Maintenance Profile, which shows the maintenance profile of the piece of equipment for which this work order was created; Maintenance Type, which shows what type of maintenance this work order is for; Work Order Number, which shows the number that was assigned to the work order; and Internal Control Number, which shows the internal control number of the piece of equipment for which this work order was created. Below those data fields, you will see 3 tabs named Materials, Operations, and Parts to Maintain. Clicking on the Materials Required tab will display a list of the materials that are used in this work order. The material number, the material name, and the quantity used is displayed for each material. If you click on the List of Operations tab, this will display the list of operations to be performed in this work order. The place in the sequence of operations that particular operation is placed is shown, along with the name of the operation. Lastly, if you click on the Parts to Maintain tab, this will display the list of parts to check and/or replace in this work order. The ID number for the part which you use to identify it in inventory is shown, along with the name of the part. Easy Maintenance also has a feature that allows you to print a complete maintenance history for a particular piece of equipment. Clicking on the Print Maintenance History on the Easy Maintenance main menu takes you to a window that allows you to do this. When selecting a piece of equipment for which you want to print a maintenance history, you'll have to select either the internal control number or the manufacturer serial number for that piece of equipment. Notice that in this window, there are 2 drop-down boxes called Internal Control Number and Manufacturer Serial Number. To choose a piece of equipment by selecting its internal control number, use the Internal Control Number drop-down box. Click on the arrow on the right side of the box to expand the list, and then click on the internal control number for the piece of equipment for which you want to print a maintenance history. Or, to choose a piece of equipment by selecting its manufacturer serial number, use the Manufacturer Serial Number drop-down box. Click on the arrow on the right side of the box to expand the list, and then click on the manufacturer serial number of the piece of equipment for which you want to print a maintenance history. Once you've selected either an internal control number or a manufacturer serial number of a piece of equipment, then click on the OK button to print out the maintenance history for it. To leave this window, click on the Cancel button.